I am going to express why I am a fan of this movie, however. 8 Mile from 2002, starring Eminem, Marshall Mathers, B-Rabbit in the movie. Loosely based on his own come-up in the rap game. I'd say a lot of it seems, I wouldn't say sensationalized, but more like, obviously they got to make a movie out of it. And you got to appreciate the effort put into the movie, because if you look at it, he only became famous as of 1999 with My Name Is, that first album, the Slim Shady LP. And if you fast forward to 2002, that's only 3 years after he became a name, a big household name, Eminem, that he got his own life movie, autobiographical, semi-autobiographical movie about his life, about his come up. But then you shake your head and doubt, but more like scratch your head and wonder, well, why is Eminem getting a movie about his life only 3 years into his mainstream career? Obviously, he's been out before, like I said, underground rap MC battle, freestyle battling in Detroit and all that too. But 3 years into making it big, becoming a household name, how does he merit getting a movie about his life? It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder why, the Biggie movie came out way after, right? Notorious, which was terrible. I want to say Notorious came out 2005 or 6. I can't remember, to be honest. I think a little while after, maybe a year or two after 8 Mile, was that Tupac movie. And I've never come around to watching that movie. I think Resurrection or whatever it was called, but I just never got around to watching it. And I know Eminem, I think, did the single off the soundtrack for that. He produced it, at least. I forget completely, but there's obviously been a lot of hip-hop movies before 8 Mile. 8 Mile's not the end-all, be-all, or the epitome of. But is it one of the better-made hip-hop movies, or the one that got taken more seriously? We'll dive into that as soon as we get into this review here. 8 Mile, here's the deal, though. Synopsis. Okay, basically, so if you know the story of Eminem, you give a shit about Eminem, you're a fan of Eminem, then you pretty much know, his story. He said it enough times, coming up with the Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, all his early shit. But basically, he is a white boy who is a pretty good rapper, battle rapper, underground rapper, freestyle rapper in Detroit, from 8 Mile Road, the bad side of 8 Mile Road. So stereotypically, he should be from the good side of the road, but he's from the bad side of the road, where, he's living in a trailer park, considered white trash, with his mom, a little sister. It's them against the world, basically, or even in his old household / trailer park, him against the world, as far as no one believes in him being a rapper. So much so that he doesn't even believe in himself, because always when the opportunity arises for him to freestyle battle or go down to the club where he's supposed to showcase his skills per se, he always chokes. He literally throws up. Of course, as alluding to the famous, infamous song from this fucking movie, or what was it? Lose Yourself, right? Mob Spaghetti, on the sweater already, Mom Spaghetti, etc., however the song goes. It doesn't come until later on that enough things happen to him, like his friend shooting himself in the leg, almost his dick, finding a girl that seemingly is his girlfriend, but unofficially, because I think they both think that each other's cute, but she's fucking other guys too to kind of get her opportunities and or her ticket out of Detroit to New York to become a model. Rest in peace, Brittany Murphy. That's her role. He's got his boys. The big fat one, I don't know his name. The Malcolm X preachy pro-black one, I don't know his name either, but he's funny. Cheddar Bob, I only know his name in the movie. And then there's Mekhi Phifer, who's Future. Not Future, the one we know, like the sensational, or the one that did Sierra wrong, apparently. But no, Future, way before Future became a thing, Percocet, Molly Percocet, Future. They all support him. Future's the one that runs the battles at the club. He's always encouraging him, always signing him up to be down there, but anytime he goes down there, he chokes. Until, again, a friend shoots himself in the leg, a girlfriend, quote-unquote, is, sleeping with other guys to get her opportunity, but she likes to fuck him at work while he's on the clock, too, and she's on the clock, wink, wink. But there's that, in and out of a good, bad relationship with his mother, who's dating the guy he went to school with, barely a couple of years older than him, and, she's riding him like cowgirl on a couch in a trailer park. Then again, he's rude enough not to knock before he walks into her trailer home. Girlfriend early on is pregnant. She tells him that at least, so then she leaves him. He leaves her the car because she's about to have a baby, quote unquote, and goes back to live with his mom in a trailer to care after his little sister. A whole slew of shit. He gets beat up for exposing the guy that was fucking his girl, but then his girl was consensual to it, so no crime was committed except for, wait, I thought you were my girl, but you're fucking this guy immediately after like 2 days removed from fucking me at work, of all places. All that has to happen, and it beat up by the guy, well, his cronies, the Free World crew, and him, gets beat up outside his trailer park where his little sister's in plain view in sight of him getting beat up outside by a bunch of guys who are just mad that, you know, he raps better than all of them and they know it, but they're so insecure about that they gotta beat him up to like be like, hey, don't show up to the club and show off your superior skill set compared to us, or else we'll fuck you up, kind of thing. That kind of logic. All that has to happen to him before he's able to actually muster up the courage to actually show off his skill finally. Battle, rap battle, all these other guys. And of course, if you know the movie by now, you've had 20 years to watch the fucking movie, so don't come crying to me like Evita. He beats them all at the end, but he doesn't want to host or be a host at the club like his boy suggested. He doesn't want to link up with someone else to see if they'll throw him some money or, you know, cover his charges for, you know, making a demo tape for his first rap album, single, whatever. He says, fuck it, I'll go about it my own. I'll just work extra hours down at the, I don't even know what it's called, but like the factory where they either make license, no, they're not making license plates. They're like, I think they bend and mold like the bumpers of cars. I didn't pay attention, honestly. I was like, so I'm still confused. Even after as many times I watched this movie, I'm still confused. Wait, what does he do for work? What is he making at work? Whatever. But yeah, all that happens for him to finally win, of course, the battle. That's the whole point of 8 Mile. And he wins at the end. Of course, he wins the battle. I don't know if there's money involved per se, even though his boy is the head of the thing. I would think he'd get paid somewhat somehow. It'd be nice, at least throw some change his way, but who knows? It's undetermined. It's not told, not revealed to us anyway, but he goes back to work. Mind you, he's responsible enough because he's always late to work initially. He's like, you know, slacking off. He's like always got things on his mind, on his chest and shit. He straightens out. He starts working. He starts, you know, earning his paycheck, Betty had said. He does have somebody cover for him while he's working an extra shift for 2 hours roughly, so he's able to do time management properly, as, you know, white people should, white boys, shouts to Eminem. He's able to, you know, leave, go do the battle thing at the club, win, and he says responsibly that this shows maturity and growth on his part. B. Rabbit, this character's really admirable in this film at least. He says, you know what? No, I'm not going to do a single thing. I'm not going to drink or eat nothing. I'm going to take my ass back to work because I got a guy covering for me. God forbid I get discovered and I lose my job. I don't even get overtime no more down at the fucking plant like that. So maturity, very, very responsible of B. Rabbit of him in this film. That's the whole synopsis, nutshell, better yet said, of 8 Mile. Again, 2002 release, starring Eminem. Mekhi Phifer's in it. I believe, rest in peace, Proof is in it. I forget his name on the thing, but he's like a battle he has early on. There's Exhibit. I know there's a couple of others I don't know the name of. Oh, and who could forget, of course, there's Anthony Mackie, a.k.a. Papa Doc, who is the bad guy villain, per se, in this whole film. Now, a couple of things I took away from the film after watching it many times over the span of like 20 years since its release and everything, too. There's some great subtle editing for this film that's very kind of tucked away if you don't notice it or don't really pay attention. And only during the last couple of views have I been able to notice and pick up on these very slick little editing tricks. I love when this is done because, first off, it is a hip-hop movie by default or de facto. There's also considering the fact that, again, what's mind-boggling to me is that Eminem is only really famous for like 2-3 years, and already he's got a whole movie made about his life. That's not just like a documentary or like back in the day when they used to release like enhanced CDs with like DVD options and features. This would have normally been, I would think, slapped into like a CD bundle. Hey, you pay $28.99, you get the new Eminem album and you get this documentary / slash mini movie they made with a DVD extra, boom, attached to it too. No, they actually took the time to write out a script. Eminem, being such a fan of hip-hop, which I admire him and love him for, student of the game, Betty had said, actually, I'm assuming he had a team with him, but I'm pretty sure he knew enough of growing up with hip-hop and being a rapper himself. He probably did the knowledge, Betty had said, on the music to use. Like, it's sprinkled throughout the soundtrack. A lot of classic staple tracks as far as hip-hop's concerned, you know, that make their presence known. You know, Biggie, there's Pac, there's Wu, there's Method, there's a lot of instrumentals too, like, you know, classic gems, you know, like OC, Word Life. There's Showbiz and AG, Next Level, the Primo remix, as one of the standout beats to me, at least. Of course, the infamous Shook Ones, where, let's start there, you know, Shook Ones is what opens the movie for us. So not only is that one of those like top 5, you have to know the opening verse by heart from this song to consider yourself ahead, that he had said. I got stuck off the realness, you know, the infamous, and all that too. I can't remember. I'm embarrassed right now. I'm so old I can't remember off the top of my head. I've heard that song like only a million times already. But you know which one I'm talking about. Shook Ones, rest in peace, Prodigy. Shouts to Havoc, of course, Mobb Deep, infamous for that. But the beauty of it is how they use and implement this shit. That's why I'm saying Eminem definitely contributed by knowing that's the track he wanted, and the director, scriptwriter, everybody else involved actually sat down, listened to him, and said, you know what, that could work. We can make it, you know, work this way, flip it, whatever, and should make it like a movie type of movie magic, Betty had said, because Shook Ones is the first track you hear. The whole first verse from Prodigy, the whole time Eminem is like karaokeing himself in the mirror, in the bathroom mirror at the place where he's supposed to battle, but he's so nervous, he signed up to battle by his boy Future, Mekhi Phifer, that he's like karaokeing with the song in the mirror, mouthing the words only, not saying it out loud, but he's locked away in the bathroom and he's so nervous he just throws up eventually. And in this case, symbolically, ironically enough, he is the shook one who can't confront his own fear of stage fright and or finally going out there and showing his skills off, because his boys know he's talented. Future wouldn't harass him so much to get out there and battle if they didn't trust him to be a talented rapper, but he doesn't believe in himself enough to do so. So oddly enough, for Shook Ones to be playing, that's like beautiful, because then you skip or fast forward to the end of the movie. Shook Ones is the instrumental they use for Eminem, B Rabbit versus Papa Doc. And it shows maturity and growth along the way, because the first time you hear it, he is the shook one. And he's too nervous to fucking do anything but throw up and get stage fright, not even show up. To now, at the end of the movie, where now it's just the instrumental, no words involved, you know, rest in peace Prodigy, but we don't need your lyrics right now. Now he's living up and shaking off the shook one cobwebs in his head, and he's making Papa Doc the shook one now. So Papa Doc's reduced to being the shook one so much at the end that he can't even say nothing. He tries to go to ayo, whatever, prep himself and get ready to represent, you know, the free world, but he can't do it. He just hands the mic over to Future, says, I can't do it. I can't battle him, because B Rabbit, I'm going to say that again, Eminem, B Rabbit, I'm going to confuse them both. B Rabbit already ripped him a new one at the ending battle. And a minute and a half of just dissing himself, dissing him, exposing him to be a fucking private school boy turned gangster, because he started, you know, tucking a gun in his waistband. And what else can you do in that case? But I love that, because that's beautiful. That's movie magic right there. Because the thing is, too, it's a hip-hop movie, technically, by default, right? They could have been lazy. They could have phoned it in. They could have just been like, you know, a white boy in a trailer park, raps a couple times, he's amazing, he got signed. They could have went the whole other route. They could have said like, in the movie, we'll get you signed. Dr. Dre, not obviously Dr. Dre in the movie, but someone playing Dr. Dre, you're signed. And then the troubles and turmoil of you on the way to your first album. That could have been the easy route. I would have suspected that had anyone suggested, hey, you know what? Eminem's on top of the rap world. Why not make a movie about his life? Interesting enough. He's the first like major player, white boy in the rap game. Why not, right? That would have been the formula, the standard basic formula to go by. But I'm sure Eminem, or whoever they got as the screenwriter and or the script writer or potential director, who knows? I should have done more research to find out who said no, let's not do that. Let's do the actual come up. Play around with it, twist it to our favor, and to make the movie sexy and appealing, and actually fill almost close to 2 hours with like a story that actually intrigues you. Because again, that Shook Ones is a perfect example of what they did to make movie magic and really show the growth and maturity of B Rabbit from too scared to even hit the stage to now you done way too much to me to not hit the stage now. I'm gonna fuck you up lyrically and own all you bitches. How could 6 dicks be such pussies? And some shit like that he said towards the end of the battle versus Papa Doc. There's a scene where more editing, chef's kiss to director who shot the film, who produced it, edited too. It's beautiful, very subtle the way they do all this shit. There's a scene where he takes the bus from his trailer park home with his mom to work to show what he's got to go through every day on his way to work, where it's the instrumental to 8 Mile Road song from the soundtrack to the movie. It's just the instrumental, but it's him on the bus ride, Walkman on, cassette player, and his handwritten lyrics on like a paper that's been folding up like 8-10 times at least, with a pen at least. So thank God he's not like reduced or so poor he has to use a pencil only, because that will break all the fucking time. Because when he's getting like into the aggressive hard rhymes, it's like snap, oh shit, my pencil broke, fuck. At least he got a pen to write them down. But the beauty of this part is the subtlety of the depthness is they play the 8 Mile Road instrumental the whole time. It's just a bare bones instrumental. But the few words that do get sprinkled in, they get dropped in, are so subtle and so effective to how he feels right now. Because he feels so empty, this beat's playing, he's writing down his shit, but he can't manifest or act out upon what the song's about. He's like using his brain to kind of put together the blueprint of what he would put down had he had the chance to put a song out like that too. So if you know the song, of course, it's like 8 Mile Road, the times and troubles of a B Rabbit coming up on 8 Mile Road to finally make it to the big stage and rap, because the words are sprinkled in. It's mostly just the beat. He's talking about stage fright and I just might quit, whatever. The only full line that hits is, quote, I just want to get on the stage and kill mics, which is what he wants to do. That's all he's been wanting to do from the first time we see him in the movie, anytime he goes to the club to potentially get on stage till he finally gets the courage to rap. That's the only line that gets dropped in during this part. And it is legit chef's kiss, beautiful editing, storytelling. It really locks in as far as how much they want you engaged, compromise with like B Rabbit's struggle to become a rapper, but he doubts himself so much because he's got, the white boy factor against him, poor as shit, living in the trailer park factor against him. He's got, dead end fucking job where he can't even get overtime hours working against him. All these factors you can use as excuses to like not do it, and he is letting them initially weigh him down, where he can't even do that. What he does so well, he's too scared to do. But as we see throughout the movie, when he grows maturely and, on the inside, he puts all that shit aside and starts to finally fucking rap. Or at least show off his rap skills. Speaking of weird, awkward white boys, he's got a boy in his crew, Cheddar Bob, who does shoot himself in the leg at one point, trying to, provoke and stir up the beef, per se, with the Free World, which is the opposing rap crew that hates them because, they got the white boy in the group, 2 white boys in the group, and I guess they're not real. According to them, he shoots himself in the leg. Cheddar Bob seems to be like another kid basically for B Rabbit because of his interaction with him. He's always like taking it easy on him, just like light little jabs, not making too much fun of him, even though Cheddar Bob does shoot himself in the leg. They go to like an empty abandoned house where somebody had raped a child, and they said, what, if the city's not going to step in and do this for us, we're going to just burn this house down. They do it, but they fill gas all in the rooms, all over the house and shit, and then Bob is the one to like just spark the match, drop it while they're inside the house, so they almost burn themselves alive thanks to Cheddar Bob. But no one really gets mad at him, especially B Rabbit. Again, I think he just looks at him like another grown-ass version with a beard of his little sister Lily, because again, we didn't get his daughter in the movie, we got his little sister. I guess to protect it or make it more, I would have felt more, that's a story worth telling with your daughter versus your little sister. But I get it though. It's still someone that depends on you, mostly because the mom is like too busy getting fucked by his schoolmates who, got in a car accident, is waiting on some settlement money to like, live a good, comfy life on Social Security or disability benefits, whatever floats his boat. Greg, his name was. He was annoying. He was a piece of shit, basically. Now, this reminds me of when he initially walks in on his mom's trailer. He doesn't knock, he doesn't call, or he does call, but he says himself, like, I think your phone's disconnected, something like that, because she got upset, obviously. He walks in on the middle of her and Greg, her boyfriend at the time, having sex. And even worse, like, he's getting a full-on, like, visual as soon as he cracks the door open, because it's not even like it was the lights off, it's dark, and you can only hear like the moaning and groaning going on. No, like, he opens the door, it's perfectly lit along Kim Basinger's back, ass crack revealed and everything too, and she's going cowboy on him on the fucking cheap couch they got, quote unquote, living room in a trailer park home. So to see that reminded me of, thank God I never seen it. I'm not alluding to that, but thank God I never seen my parents fucking. I've only ever had to hear them fucking when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, until my dad eventually left, thank God, and I never had to hear that again. But I'd have to hear that at night, and it would wake me up, because my dad was awfully loud when he was getting his nut off. So unfortunately, I know that much about him, and that's way too much more than I'd ever want to know about my father and my mother. I guess my mother was considering me in the same room, because we had to all share the same bedroom. She would keep quiet. So I don't know, but it was always, it kind of reminded me of that shit. So the last thing I think anyone at any age, young or old, ever wants to see, let alone be a part of or like eavesdrop in on, is their parents fucking. So if we throw it later on in the movie at exactly 51 minutes and 45 seconds, this woman has problems, because she's expressing to his grown-ass son, who has his own problems and the only one working in the trailer park household, that her main issue with Greg is that he won't go down on her. Which, I mean, if you look at Kim Basinger, who wouldn't go down on her? Especially in 2002, still holding up like plenty fine and mighty well. Who's not going to go down on her? So, of course, the most logical response he can have in return to his mother, talking about, my boyfriend won't go down on me, my sex life sucks, help me, hear me out at least. All he can say is, Mom, and just slam the door in the face. Like, who wouldn't? 20, 30, 50, 60 years old yourself, and if your parents are still alive talking about that shit, I don't need to hear that from my mother. I don't need to hear that from my father. Nobody that's a family member like that, I don't need to know about what's going on or what's not going on in your sex life. So shout out to Kim Basinger, my beautiful in this movie, beautiful woman as always, she has been. But if that's your mother, then of course you got to deal with the jokes as they do with him a lot. Like, oh, your mom's a piece of ass, tell her I'm home alone Thursday night, tell her come through, or can I come through in the trailer, I'll be quiet, I promise, I got you, bro, kind of thing. Speaking of women in the movie, rest in peace Brittany Murphy, who I always been a fan of. I always found her charming, likable, funny, awkward towards the end too, like funny awkward, not awkward like weirdo, but like awkward like funny. I didn't know she had that in her. I forget how long it's been since she passed away too, but something always about her, like charming, magnetic, like, you can't help but like her. Even though, in this movie, I don't know what she is to Eminem. B-Rabbit, I mean. Is she the unofficial girlfriend, quote unquote, whatever? Because she does see him at first. They lock eyes. They're the only two white people, so they're pushing that ideology on you. Like, the whites belong with the whites, the blacks with blacks. You could be friends, but nothing beyond that, apparently. I'm just kidding, of course. But you could see initially the sparks when she comes down to where he was working at to find her brother at work to get the car from him, I think it was. I forget exactly, but there's sparks already. She fucks him. Not yet, right. So she insists on fucking him at work. She makes him take time off while he's on the clock to get on his cock and do it in a warehouse, which is already, for me at least, a bad sign, where I can't trust a woman if, one, she gave in that easy to me, assuming I'm B-Rabbit, I got his looks at least, right? At least I could rap like him. And two, if she wants to fuck immediately, first time, outside. Okay, not outside, it's got a roof over its head, but still outside as far as not my home, not a hotel, in a warehouse, where I still don't know what he does for a living, but I think he's like, God, they make like front or rear bumpers for cars and shit. So of all places, I'm getting paid way less than I should back in 2002 before they implemented the $15 per hour minimum for full-time workers and shit. I'm already dressing bummy. I gotta wear safety goggles. I gotta wear earplugs. I gotta wear layers and layers of clothing and shit. And you got the nerve to tell me that on my half hour, not even hour, half hour lunch break, where I gotta go to the same lunch truck every single day to get the same shit that's gonna kill me slowly but surely, but at least I'll be making some sort of money in return from it, or at least Social Security when I get like to Medicare age. You want me to fuck you randomly along some crates behind a ramp? Don't groan too loud because then they're gonna hear you, but then everybody's got earplugs, so I think they're good. And it's just, I'm not gonna say it demoralizes her, but like it makes you question. And it shouldn't be no wonder why later on when she's caught getting fucked by his friend Wink in the studio with the lights off of all things at a radio station, wait, were you my girlfriend or not? I thought you belonged to me, but I guess not. Well, also you can't trust her because she's like getting turned on by the house burning down also. And she's like, it's some kind of beautiful or something like that she said too. So low-key arsonist, or she favors that kind of shit. So absolutely no way she's a crazy bitch potentially, no way. And also getting fucked in a warehouse while I'm on the clock too. It's kind of rude to you to pull up on me to get on top of me while I'm still on the clock to do so. While I could be having lunch and minding my business or working on my raps instead of doing that. If you believed in me that much, at least, save it for the fucking club or after I'm done doing the show at the club. I digress though. There's that. And finally, it's not until like about an hour and 30 minutes into the film where finally we get to hear B Rabbit rap, doing this thing against the free world. Because after getting beat up, after getting, after having to walk in on this girl, quote unquote, getting fucked by his boy, and then this boy on top of that, Wink, he's the one that tells his boys, because I'm sure he showed up to wherever the free world crew was. They see him all beat up and shit, and they're like, what happened to you, bro? He's like, man, motherfucker, goddamn, this white boy, I put my trust in him and shit. I'm his boy and whatnot too, and he does this to me because I was fucking this girl, which is a hoe anyway, like loose ass bitch, whatever. It's like, what? They all squad up and pull up to the trailer park to let him know it's real and fuck him up in plain sight of his little sister outside his trailer park home. Like he doesn't have it bad enough. Like life ain't beating him up enough already, living in the trailer park with his bum ass mom and his poor little sister, and everybody around can hear you within an earshot of whatever happens, cracking beer bottles on your neighbor's head, and or just cooking possums on the fucking open grill outside because you're in a trailer park. What else goes on out there? I'm sure Detroit might be a little not so down south with what I described, but close enough. Why not? If not, possums are like cooking up raccoons and shit. I don't know. But then again, they said Chicago is actually the most infested with rats city in this country. So then maybe the rats get tired of Chicago and they make their way over to Detroit. I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, there was that. It's again not until like an hour and 30 in that we finally get him to go to the fucking battle. He shows up finally to the club. He's got all his balls gathered up to actually show some nerve to actually battle finally. Because again, he's got enough going on too. His mom's kicking him out because she's having sex problems with her boyfriend, which is, by the way, one of his classmates. And he had a car accident, like brain damage. He can't get it up. No, he can't get it up because we saw that early on in the movie. But also, he won't go down on her. He's like DJ Khaled. He won't eat her pussy out. And his mom is so upset at that she has to tell him that, his son, about, woe is me. I'm not getting my box munched or whatever. Like whatever Ice Spice says. You thought I was feeling you? That boy a munch or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what these girls are into no more like that. But there is that. When he does finally make it on stage to battle him, he takes him out one by one, but also, again, maturity and growth here. Because B Rabbit, he's being like employee of the month potential right now, because he tells a dude to cover for him for like 2 hours on his overtime shift. He's going to head down to the club, make light work of the free world, and at the end of the movie, of course, as we see, he says, no, I don't want to co-host these battles with you. No, I don't want to go record a demo with you. I'll do it on my own time. But right now, oh shit, look at the clock. I got to get back to work. And he makes his way back to work. So again, employee of the week, at least material potential. because he is robbing the company of 2 hours at a time. But at least he kept it at 2 hours, and then nobody has to know. At least not Manny, the fat manager, supervisor of his, that's like, I was hating on him at first, but ends up liking him enough to be like, all right, white boy, I'll do you a favor and toss, 5 hours extra, so it shows up as like $50 more on your paycheck next week. This is before direct deposit, I'm assuming, too, so he had to actually grab his check and actually take it somewhere to get cash as well, too. So it's a lot to struggle with in Detroit, I'm assuming. I did notice that, or at least what stood out to me, because obviously Papa Doc never got to battle him directly, even though Papa Doc is the first technical battle we see in the opening of the movie. He don't get the battle because he's too shook. And like I said before, B-Rabbit was a shook one initially, but then when shook one comes about around the second time, part 2 technically, he's no longer the shook one. He turns Papa Doc into the shook one because he exposes him, he roasts himself, and there's nothing left for Papa Doc to say. So much that he's mute. He just hands the mic over. Okay, you win. Mercy, please. Whatever. But Lotto, the second guy B-Rabbit faces towards the end of the movie, is really good and has a lot of clever lines, really like theatrical with his performance, like really engaging. I would have said he won, but B-Rabbit, of course, it's his movie. He has to be the one that wins, of course. So, duh, of course, they're not going to give it to fucking Lotto halfway through a battle like, oh, you know what, the white boy's good, but he didn't do good enough. So, happy, movie. This is the ending. That's it, whatever. There was that. And, of course, there is the final battle. B-Rabbit versus Papa Doc, which, again, as we already went over, Papa Doc says shit. He's quiet as a church mouse. He's too shook to say anything. Eminem roasts, B-Rabbit. B-Rabbit roasts him. And the funny thing is about Papa Doc, or in real life, a.k.a. Anthony Mackie, or, thank you, Vita, his real name is Clarence, and his parents got a real good marriage. I remember I didn't meet him, sorry. I saw him in real life, way back when. I'm going to say at least maybe like 10 years ago, at the New York Auto Show. I think I went on a Thursday, like first day they opened up, like where there's like close to nobody. And I had the day off from work. So I went then, and I spotted him from like at least 20 feet away. I knew it was him. I remembered his face. He still had the no fucking facial hair like he does in this movie, Papa Doc, right? But for the life of me, I had a shitty phone. I had no service. I couldn't Google. In the Javits Center, it was at the bottom level, where they got like all the luxury vehicles, the ones you like really only window shop for. I had no signal. I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, who only spoke Spanish and did not trust me to leave, like, for a minute to be alone with my phone, as she thought I would do. I couldn't even go to the bathroom and shit. That would be the only time I get to go with my phone anywhere if I was, with her. I couldn't Google to make sure I knew his name, because how awkward is it to just call him Papa Doc, which I'm sure he's been hearing at that point for like at least 10 years straight. And I'm going to disrespect him by calling him, hey, Papa Doc, sorry about your loss, in the movie, of course, not in real life, because you don't really rap like that. But then, how do you even do that? How do you disrespect him like that? And only now until, like, I swear, only until now with, like, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus, did I finally learn his name is Anthony Mackie. I know he's done plenty of shit in between 8 Mile and then, but because of that show now, I have enough respect on his name to know his name, Anthony Mackie. All the respect due. But I was like, how do I approach him and make it seem like, because I know he's heard it a million times, Papa Doc, haha, you fucking loser, or something like that. You lost to Eminem at least, so that's kind of like a W in your case, because now you're famous because of that shit. And how much is he gonna like just cock his fist and not want to like punch my fucking teeth down my throat with me, one more guy on that day calling him Papa Doc? But I left him alone. But now I know if I ever bump into him, I know it's Anthony Mackie now, aka Papa Doc. Hey, I remember you was Papa Doc. You were great, even though you lost to considerably one of the greatest of all time to do it. But still, it's okay. It's like losing to Prince, R.I.P. Prince. It's like losing to Michael Jackson, R.I.P. Michael Jackson. It's like losing to Michael Jordan. He's not dead, but of course, you know what I mean. And yeah, like I said, he went back to work after, the day is done, the deed is done, and that's all there is to it. One little fun fact before we get the final score to the movie is that Roger Ebert, rest in peace, of course, to him, one of my favorite critics of all time, always never held back, never bit his tongue, straight up honest. Quote unquote, the following was said by Roger Ebert back in 2002 when he reviewed 8 Mile. There has been criticism of Kim Basinger, who is said to be too attractive and even glamorous to play Rabbit's mother. But this strikes me as economic discrimination. Cannot poor people as well as rich people look like Kim Basinger? Given the numbers of ugly people who live in big houses, why can't there be beautiful people living in trailers? And that is what makes him one of the greatest critics of all time. Absolutely, there's been beautiful homeless people scattered around here, wherever you live. You stumbled upon them, you stepped over them, you've given them no mind the fucking train, absolutely. Because you look past the fucking layer of dirt and grime they got on them, you're like, you know what? If he, she, them cleaned up, they'd fucking clean up in the fucking, modeling world or something. Or on Instagram at least, make them a fucking page or something. Absolutely, they can absolutely be beautiful poor people, just as like there's plenty of ugly rich people. And then why? They're mega rich, they got the mega bucks because they're not so good looking on the outside, so it doesn't even matter what's on the inside because what's inside their fucking pockets matter. Their fucking fat wallets. Well, no one has wallets no more now because everything's digital or everything's like credit card or whatever, so there's no actual physical currency getting exchanged no more like that. So that was that. I like that. And also Eminem has like the most awkward like middle finger pose of all time, seriously, because you know how, no offense to anybody watching right now, but when you do this, right, is there like a lot of effort put into the middle finger? And this is also my damaged middle finger from like a football injury when I was in high school, mind you, so it's like kind of crooked. But when you do this, right, do you really got to exert yourself or really stretch out the middle finger like that? No, you just kind of like curl it up, like especially if you're driving. You're multitasking, I'm sure you're driving, you got to get somewhere fast like we all do at some point. You're not going to go straight out like this. You're just going to like curl it out. You motherfucker, like literally flipping in the bird, tossing the bird their way, right? Eminem, now I'm talking about real life Eminem and / B Rabbit. When he first meets, what's her name? Alex, I think her name was in the movie, right? And or R.I.P. Brittany Murphy. When she turns her back to go up the stairs and him, of course, trying to look up his skirt, he tosses her the bird, flips her the bird and shit. She turns around and catches him and throws him a normal middle finger. But Eminem in real life, B Rabbit in the movie, whatever, has like the most awkward, perfectly straight middle finger with the fingers curling up alongside and the thumb sticking perfectly out like this. You can see his arm trembling. He's really working his forearm because right now me doing this is really jacking up my forearm. I can feel it down on my bicep just doing it this way. I don't know why he stresses himself out like this, but that's what he chose to do. He picked his poison like that. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was always doing the double ones and all that too. He never put that much of. He just threw them up, fingers kind of curled up. I'm sure with a bad neck and bad knees and everything, the last thing he's going to do is have perfectly straight middle fingers to like, flip you the double middle finger. I don't know, this always bothered me about Eminem. Like even in pictures, like there's always one, he's like in a tank top in like really baggy Aniche sweatpants with the blonde hair still. And he's holding up his pants with one hand and the other one's like just doing the super awkward Eminem middle finger like that. Or maybe that's how he gets his bicep curls in, like just doing this shit. Because I dare you to try this right now and tell me you don't feel your bicep, your forearm, your wrist, everything. Like just trembling right now. I'm sore already by doing that enough times. Final score for 8 Mile. 20 years since release. 2002 release. Starring Eminem. Mekhi Phifer's in it. Kim Basinger's the hot piece of ass MILF mama his. Who else is famous in this shit? Rest in peace, Proof. He's in it. I'm sure there's other rappers I can't think of right now. Obviously, Anthony Mackie, or Papa Doc, better yet said, he's in it too. Also, Exhibit, shouts to him. There's a couple of female rappers I know they're known, but I can't remember what the fucking names are. I think Lady of Rage was one of them. But, forgive me for not remembering right now offhand. But, final score for 8 Mile. 20 years since. You've had 20 years. I already spoiled it for you right now earlier, so if you want to cry and bitch about that, well, there's the internet. That can make things way worse for you. You can watch it for free. You can watch it on Hulu like I did right now too. I gotta give, out of a possible 2-year score, I gotta give 8 Mile, honestly, let alone the jawline structure, how solid and squared off it is, like how insanely in shape you can tell he is just by, the structure of his shoulders through the jacket. I think that's somebody I don't want to fuck with, because I get the point. Listen, there's vagabonds, there's bums, homeless, whatever, making their way through towns, whatever the case is. It may not be in the best of shape, or there's always that one exceptional case where they're like working out in the streets with like resistant bands and they get super jacked and all that because literally they have nothing to eat. So when they do eat, it's like probably a can of tuna or something. They scrap all the coins and recycle all the bottles they can to buy some tuna. That means they can afford a can opener, which means they're not that broke, but whatever. We're not here to make fun of the homeless or the domestically challenged per se. But based off his appearance alone, that's somebody I don't immediately assume is a vagabond. In almost 2 hours, I gotta give it a 2 out of 2. I don't see nothing wrong with this movie. They really could have copped out. They really could have, taken it easy, gotten, like the kids say today, a quick bag by just kind of phoning it in. Hey, let's make a movie about Eminem. Let's make it like an hour of him just like rewriting shit in the studio. Someone that looks close enough like the Dr. Dre and eventually 50 Cent. Because again, 1999 is when he blows up and becomes famous. And in 2002 already, 3 years later, he's already got a movie about his life. But I'm sure he got involved. He got a good screenwriter. He got a good script writer too as well, to be like, we can't tell the plain cut and dry story of what Eminem's expected to be. No, we got to do something special for Eminem, even though he's only been famous for 3 years, and really tell his story properly. So again, out of 2 ears, I got to give 8 Mile 2. There's no excuse. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a delightful watch. It's one of my guilty pleasure watches, even though guilty pleasure watches are mostly for bad movies that you enjoy for some reason. Maybe you like the actor, the story's stupid, where it's like so stupid it's bad, but it's good. No, this is one of my actual pleasures to watch. If it's like when it used to be randomly on HBO, on TV, wherever, I'd stop and watch 8 Mile, gladly. It's got to be HBO or Cinemax or one of those, because if you'd watch it on VH1, they had like the heavily edited version with like no cursing whatsoever, obviously, because it's cable TV. And half the battles make no sense because they're like reversing the words or like blurring them out, whatever they do with it. So don't ever watch it on free. Well, obviously we live in the age of streaming and on-demand shit, so why would you watch it on VH1? Is VH1 even a channel anymore? I don't remember, to be honest.